Hello and welcome back to Utterly Unfiltered with Tash and
Cara.
Happy Monday.
Sang that one for some reason.
You did. Cara.
Oh, that was actually quite a nice.
Thank you.
You should be a singer.
It was angelic.
We can duet.
Oh my god.
Harmonize.
It'd be so bad.
We should one day sing the Utterly Unfiltered to the theme tune. I know it's like instrumental, but we could make like a little rap.
We could. Welcome to Utterly Unfiltered.
That was so off the cuff. Oh my goodness. Whoa.
We could definitely do that.
Maybe let's not. Thank you for returning to us this week. This week we are talking about how to be...
actually, first of all, we need to say Happy New Year.
Oh, yes. Wow.
It is 2025.
Crazy.
Can you believe it?
Where did 2024 go?
Where did 2024
It just ran away. Like,
How
sprint.
was your 2024?
And yours? It was
pretty much the same.
A roller
Today
coaster.
We're talking about how to be that woman in 2025.
Yes, let's shift
It's
focus.
New Year's resolutions, who we want to be, what our goals are. Well, actually, not so much personal to us, but maybe a little bit, but just in general, how to be that woman in 2025.
And that woman is like the boss bitch.
Boss bitch woman in 2025.
Yeah.
Wow, that was cringe.
That's what we
Such
do.
millennials.
We are cringe. I'm a Gen Z.
Hot
No,
lady.
I am. I actually technically am. Don't take that away from me. That's the only thing keeping me going at this point. Not that I want to identify as a Gen Z. Gen Zs can be cruel. My hater online was Gen Z.
Yeah.
Because she was like, the comment was, we need to get these washed up millennials off this app. And I was like, excuse me, I am a Gen Z. So you can get these washed up Gen Zs off this app. Thanks very much.
Oh my god.
Savage. Now you know why I had a mental breakdown this morning.
That is savage.
Savage.
It's also BS, so you know.
Thanks. I was crying on the staircase and all I could think of was the Taylor Swift lyric. Crying on the staircase, begging you please don't go. Made me feel slightly better because I was like, I'm living in a Taylor Swift song. Except it's not a breakup.
You realise though that if they're a Gen Z and
I'm a Gen Z.
You are a Gen Z, but you know, if they're like a real Gen Z, then you're feeling sad. You're crying because some like 19-year-old girl told you that you were washed up.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
That's how I know. I need to get a grip.
Come on,
Can you shake
you're
me?
27.
Slap me. No, don't do it. No, don't do it because maybe we don't want to entice violence. Anyways, I'm really enjoying this episode.
So far, I actually did hit Cara once. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. You slapped me.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I think. When was it? What did I do? Did I deserve it?
Yes.
Okay.
So many years ago. I think we were like maybe 16 and there was a giant ass spider in my bedroom.
Oh, okay. Yes. And Tash hates spiders.
I hate spiders, but it was also one of those huge field spiders. And I was trying to get it out the window. And Cara comes up behind me and goes, boo!
Classic.
I'm not kidding. I turn around, I slap her. I was like, that's not funny.
It was deserved. No, I totally was deserved. It was one of those moments where you're just like, sorry, I won't do that again. My brother slapped me in the face twice recently when I had hiccups.
Okay, Jesus.
And he did one, took me completely off guard, and then I was like, well, I still have them. Did another sneak one. They did go, they did leave, and I was so grateful. I've never been grateful for being hit in the face.
That's why.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about the spider thing.
Thank you, I'm sorry for hitting you.
Yeah, yours is marginally worse. But I forgive you.
Cara did have a personality trait when she was younger where she'd like to do a wind up. You know? And I did not have the humor for it.
No, I was feral. I still am a little bit, but I'm now more respectful of people's anxieties because I know that that's a thing. Whereas before I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I had my own, but I didn't know how to name them.
Oh god! One of the first times I went around Cara's house. Sorry, you're just getting a backstory into our friendship.
Oh yes, now. Yes. Ooh.
But one of the first times I went around your house, do you remember this? I was in the bathroom. And she unlocked the bathroom from the other side and walked in laughing. Like, you found that so funny.
Why were you my friend? Remind me.
I don't know.
Was it just because there was no one else, or was it just for the lols? Was it a thrill-seeking thing that you had? Did I have qualities?
90% of our friendship was perfect. We had a lot in common. We were fine. But there was
10%. That's a lot.
Where Cara would do these things like that.
That is a bit random. I don't know why I did that. Sorry.
Just be in shock.
That was... Yeah, I'm not surprised. But now we go to the toilet together in clubs and it's all good.
Well, it doesn't matter. I was 12 years old.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy. That's a bit of a creeper thing.
Maybe. And you know what I think it is? I think it's because you grew up with older brothers, so you grew up being like lightly bullied.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest sister. My brother is 6 years younger than me, so I grew up as a like adult. You know what I mean?
Thank you for justifying it for me.
Whereas Cara grew up as a child, and so there was these moments in our friendship where things like that, where Cara was being a child and I was a 12-year-old in an 18-year-old in a 12-year-old's body. You know?
Yeah.
I was just like, what is happening?
I was very childish, right? Very very.
But it's good because it brought out the child in me. Well, so I'm grateful for it.
No, I feel like we definitely had like snowball fights where we just ended up immersing each other's faces in snow, and we could have suffocated each other, but we didn't.
Yes, definitely.
I did make you a bit rowdy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sorry, Cara's like, why did we detour into that?
Yeah. Why did I open the bathroom door when you were peeing? I'll never know. I honestly feel like a different person now. I don't think I wouldn't do it. No, I wouldn't do that now.
I mean, I find these things hilarious.
I'm so glad that you're not traumatized, that you're still my friend. Wow.
Every time I go to the bathroom now in Cara's house, I'm like...
like barricade the door from the inside. Classic.
15 years later, she's still traumatized.
Yep. Wow.
Okay, we need to change the subject because, you know, this is too much of an inside joke now.
Is being a friend of mine, is it like part of your healing journey that you have to face your fears and your demons? And there's a me. Cool. Okay. Right. And now we do a podcast together. So,
oh, God.
Cool.
Anyways.
How to not be that girl and be that girl for 2025. Let's kickstart into it, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Oh, I enjoyed prepping for this one because I was in a midlife crisis this morning.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite nice to think about my aspirations for what I want to be like as opposed to what I have been like. Not that, like, there's moments of like, you know, there's things that I want to take forward. I don't want to completely reinvent myself.
No. But also that's unrealistic as well.
No, it definitely is. And you set yourself up to fail. I don't often set that many like set in stone resolutions because I end up rebelling from them or just getting really disappointed in myself when I don't fulfill them.
Yeah.
So these ones I think are a little bit more realistic. Shall I just jump straight into it? Because I feel like we should get meaty.
Oh, before we start, we should just define quickly.
Oh, yes.
So the concept of that girl, it was a trend on TikTok. And it was like, you know, how to be that girl. A lot of influencers like consider themselves to be that girl, and their content will be based around that girl. And who that girl is tends to be like a cool girl. She tends to be healthy. She tends to be like, you know, a Pilates princess, or, you know, like just someone who's always wearing, you know, Lululemon activewear and goes on their hot girl walks. And the general idea of that girl tends to be based on like physical appearance. It's like glow up like that girl, be on trend like that girl, you know, eat healthy like that girl, drink from your Stanley bottle. I mean, I have one of those too, but still.
Like you are that
girl. You know, it's focused on how other people see her. And then what we're talking about here is how to be that woman, and it's a bit more internal. It's like confidence, calm, you know, and this also slightly depends on your own definition of it, right? So this is just me thinking about this, and Cara might have a slightly different opinion on what that woman is, but it tends to be based more on internal value and how she sees herself, if that makes sense. So that girl, how others see her; that woman, how she sees herself. Okay, that's all from me.
No, and valuable, because I think that woman, I don't think so. What I'm going to be talking about is more personal to me, because I think the person you want to aspire to be, the woman you want to aspire to be in 2025 is personal to you. It's going to look different for everyone. I don't think there's a set, you should do hot girl walks and you should have no offense. I do love your bottle, but I think it's going to be dependent on who you want to be.
100%.
You know, as on a personal level, not just as a generalized woman.
Yeah.
Anyways, just as a sort of start there. So for me, I've put that woman that I want to be in 2025 is just someone with more self-respect, grace, self-compassion, and focused on myself as at the core of every decision, as opposed to trying to be someone that I think other people will accept me for, or what I'll face less criticism for. So I think I mentioned it in a previous episode, but that sort of finding fulfillment and happiness in focusing on myself, for myself, as opposed to for other people.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. But how to do that? So for me, I've put self-care, and I've kind of discovered what self-care means for me over the last year or so, and in the practical things of like, even if it's like a little face mask or a little bath bomb, if it's listening to music or reading instead of being on my phone at night. Like, there's things that I do that make me feel special to myself,
like
that make me feel like I've treated myself, and therefore that's something that I think that gives me a lot more self-respect, because I'm treating myself well. Allowing myself time for hobbies and interests, even solo. So I want to do more solo dates, because that was something that I'd set out for myself for 2024. But again, social anxiety and feeling like, will I be judged if I go to a coffee shop by myself? Like, but it's so important, I think, to reconnect with yourself. And someone said to me once, which was really interesting, like, that they see themselves, or they're working on seeing themselves. So imagine you were put on this earth and assigned this human. So this is my human.
Yes.
And your sole purpose in life is to look after this human, to make them feel physically, mentally, emotionally well and good in whatever way that looks for you. And that is your job, and that is your priority. And I really like that third person way of looking at it, because it's almost similar to that, treat yourself as you would a friend. It's that have that respect for yourself as you would another.
Yeah.
And make sure that your well-being is at the center of your priority list. And I really enjoy that way of looking at myself. Like, this is my human. I'm gonna look after my human.
I love that.
And protect my human.
Yeah. I love what you said about, like, doing that practical stuff makes you feel special.
Yeah.
Because I think that's such a good point. I've never really thought about that before, because self-care is obviously one of those things that, like, it's this buzzword that's talked about a lot, but
what does it mean?
You don't really understand what it means. And you're right, like, if I just think about that woman trend, like, it definitely does involve, that girl trend, it definitely does involve things like bubble baths and face masks, but I only ever saw it as, well, that's just an external thing. It's like, making yourself look nice. But what you've just said has just completely changed my perspective of that, to like, actually, no, that's an internal treat for yourself. You're doing that because you deserve to feel pampered and good about yourself. And like, that's so important. Yeah,
you pamper yourself, you take yourself out for dates, you do everything with yourself. For me, this is what I think will help, is to do everything for myself as though I'm doing it with myself.
Yes.
So I'm a valued human in my life that I can spend time with and treat the way I would treat other people.
Yeah.
May not work for everyone. Some people are probably like, what the fuck, that doesn't make any sense. But for me, and I've always noticed that helps me to think of myself in third person. Even if I'm encouraging myself and I'm being a cheerleader, I'll say, come on, Cara, we can do this. Like, I'm treating myself as a team.
Absolutely.
Which is so bizarre. I'll never say, I can do this. I'll never say, which maybe that could be, that could be further explored in future podcasts as to where that comes from. But I've never thought, okay, I've got this. I've thought, Cara, we've got this. And for me, it's just a way to acknowledge myself as a human that I can support.
I think almost it sounds like you're basically sorry.
That was just so much wisdom thrown at Tash that she's having a coughing fit.
I had a digestive and crumbs got stuck in my throat.
I hate it when that happens.
Terrible. Sorry. Anyways.
Take a sip out of your That Girl.
Yeah, I'll take a sip of my hydro.
Sponsorship.
There's nothing in there.
Oh, no.
Well, we tried. No, it sounds to me like you're basically getting your inner voice on board with what you want.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Cara, like, we can do this, because Cara often tells you that you can't do it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah.
No, we can. Like,
yes.
let's go, and you're basically trying to get your inner voice on board.
Yes, you're battling that internal critic. And I find it in the flip side as well, which is where I want to move away from, is that, like, self-punishment. Like, I'll know when I'm feeling, like, I sent you a message last night, and I'm like, because I was trying to get up to scratch with the notes, lastminute.com, right? And I was like, Tash, I'm just crying and binge eating at this point. Like, I'll get to the notes tomorrow. And it is a form of, like, I'll know when I'm treating myself badly. I'll know that means that I'm not, which sounds obvious, but I'll know in the way that I'm treating myself, whether I feel good or bad in myself. And I know that if I'm doing self-care activities, it's making me feel more self-respect and self-compassion.
Yes, yeah.
Because I'm treating myself well. And I know when I'm treating myself badly, I'm probably not in the best place mentally.
Yeah.
I literally had a packet of biscuits, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't want them.
No.
Didn't eat them. Felt terrible. Kept eating them. And that was my way of telling myself that I was upset with myself.
Yeah, yeah.
With my
You're
human.
punishing yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
my poor human.
Your poor human.
She fucking loved those biscuits though. Just went on a rampage. But no, that was something that and I think it's becoming in tune with yourself as well. So for 2025, I want to be that woman who knows more what makes me happy, just on an instinctual level, versus what I'm not comfortable with. So even in the smaller decisions of what makes me feel good that I'm wearing that day, what makes me feel good to eat, what music do I want to listen to, and letting myself follow my intuition.
Yeah.
I think it only ever leads me into better places than my logic brain does.
Yeah.
So
no, I like that.
being more in tune, paying attention.
Yeah. What feels good to you and what doesn't.
Yeah. And not having to question it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe there is a problem that I'm listening to really sad music, but if I'm enjoying listening to sad music, let myself be, you know, just let yourself be in the moment. Do what you need to do for that moment in time. You don't always have to be working on a goal or working towards something. I struggle with this. I feel like if I have nothing to show from my day, it's a day wasted. And I've let myself down. But actually, if I really just need to be in bed, I really just need to be like watching Netflix and being a slob, then that's okay too.
That's okay, yeah. I think that's a really good point. I think it's interesting actually because that's kind of that self-compassion piece that you were talking about, and how that for you, what that woman looks like in 2025 is someone who's self-respectful, self-compassionate.
Yeah.
You know, is more in tune with herself. And I think that's really interesting. And you know what I like about this, and it's one of the good reasons why we just make a good podcasting pair, is that we're on different stages of our that woman journey.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And like that concept of, you know, being comfortable just doing nothing and letting yourself just disengage, I guess, from like the stresses of daily life, I think is like so important and a good goal to have. I want to not have a crisis when some Gen Z comes on my TikTok and tells me that I can't sing and I just need to get off the app. Then I want to be like that girl or that woman, who's like, cool, you're entitled to your opinion. Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I want to be.
Exactly. And I think that's where that focus of that woman comes from, internally knowing your value.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing your worth, having that internal confidence in what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
And also that you said about self-respect and part of that comes from, you know, showing up for yourself the way that makes you feel accomplished.
Yes. Yeah.
Like self-respect is knowing that you've put your all into your music and you're happy to release it, and what you've put out there is something that you are proud of.
Yeah.
And therefore, when you have that feeling, nothing that anyone else can really say can impact that, because you already know that it's what you wanted to do and you did it, and you're already proud of yourself. Not based on the accolades someone else gives you, but on the fact that you accomplished something that you put your mind to.
Absolutely. And on that point, my last sort of nugget on this is to be someone who values my own how do I put this? So there'll be people in my life who I really kind of want to spend time with, and I'm kind of really invested in them, and I'm putting a lot of effort in and maybe not getting the return. Right? And it's not just people. No. If anything, you probably like put a lot of effort in with me and I'm just in a slump, or I'm like music frenzied or whatever. But not just people, but like things as well. Like I'll invest my energy in places where I'm not getting a return, or it's not making me feel valued. And it goes back to something we come to a lot, which is that magnetic energy. And like treat yourself as though you are the commodity that you want something from, and if people come to you, obviously it has to be reciprocal. This is not making much sense.
No, I get.
I'm going down a rabbit hole.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Should I follow it through?
Yeah, follow it through.
I was hoping you'd interject and say, translate what I've just said into something that makes sense. But it's basically, I think when you think of yourself as someone who needs to fight for attention or fight to get involved in the latest event, or that you have to put yourself out there on social media to get people to like you or whatever. I think you tell yourself that you're not valuable as who you are alone. Whereas if you actually just do you and not do other people, my quote of the day, people will come to you. Yes. The right people will come to you.
Yeah.
And vice versa to them. If you see someone who's doing their own thing and they're having a great time and they're not giving two shits about who's seeing them or how they're coming across, you're probably going to be drawn to them too. Because who doesn't want to feel like that?
100%. So what, I totally get what you're saying. And you're basically saying that, like, if you put yourself on that pedestal of, right, I know what I'm doing is good and I'm confident in that, you're going to attract more people who see that confidence.
Yeah.
Or, as well, people who have that confidence as well.
True.
So you'll upgrade not only in the sense of,
business class, baby.
Business class, exactly. You'll be now surrounding yourself with people who are more positive energy, and those people who are more negative energy will start to kind of drift out of your life.
Yeah.
Just naturally, because you won't be on the same wavelength, so you won't be communicating in the same way, and therefore that friendship will kind of fizzle out a little bit, because you're up here, and if you're attracted to people who are up here with you, but also you'll be attracted to people who want to be like that with you. Oh my god, there's a cat outside.
I know, he's so cute. Or she,
oh,
I know.
adorable.
I left a bit of milk one time. Didn't drink it though.
I don't think cats are supposed to drink dairy.
Sugar.
Pretty sure they're lactose intolerant.
Clearly you knew that, my friend.
Okay.
So pretty.
Anyways.
So tell me though, yes, and thank you. You did translate it very well. That's exactly what I meant. Put yourself on a pedestal. Worship yourself.
Yes.
Not to the point where you're putting other people down, obviously, but just give yourself the same kind of positive
on
encouragement you would other people. What are your that woman tips for 2025?
Good question. Okay, so yeah, like I said before, my kind of definition of that woman is someone who's confident, is calm, is balanced. So that's what I was saying when I just mentioned to Cara, that I feel like we're in slightly different stages of our journey. I think that's why, and I like that because it means you get slightly different opinions as to, because you're right, who that woman is
it's so personal.
Is personal to
so
you,
personal,
and who you want to be. And for me, discipline is what I require this year, because last year I was 2 years ago I was very much in my self-compassion era. 2023 was my year of do whatever the heck I want and not beat myself up for things anymore, and happily have a day in front of Netflix, or do whatever and let my kitchen get messy for once, and all those kinds of things, because I realized I was living my life on like 2 times speed.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Everything is a rush all the time. I was never slowing down, and that was just not healthy, honestly. And it just meant I was never present, basically, because I was always in a rush for something, So I really slowed myself down a couple of years ago. This year, for me, discipline is a huge one, because I have a lot I want to achieve. And for me, that discipline means, stop focusing on those external that girl things, and start focusing instead on those internal things like resilience. We talk about negative feedback on social media and that kind of thing. What you mentioned there about, magnetic energy and knowing yourself really well, that's part of it as well, is having that level of resilience to drama or struggles or negative feedback. And I think I do have a lot of resilience in some areas of my life which have played out. But I think recognizing that and realizing that, like, no matter, I feel like, honestly, what I've realized over the last few years is just that I can genuinely just deal with anything that's thrown at me. And it's one of those things where you don't think you can.
Trusting yourself.
Yeah. In advance, you think this is impossible. This is my worst nightmare. This is the last thing I ever want to happen. But then those things happen because life is not perfect. And you're like, I actually dealt with that really well. Like, I actually am very strong, and I have not given myself enough credit.
And kudos, giving yourself kudos. Oh my gosh, it's revolutionary. It celebrating your successes.
And I think for me, especially as someone who does like overthink and panic about the future, just knowing that, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to be able to deal with anything. I really am. There's like, everything that I've done so far has taught me that. So there's no point stressing and worrying about like what could happen, because even if those things do happen, I will still be fine. Like, I will still get over them, or I will still deal with them in whatever way I have to deal with them, you know? And I think that is, like, something that's very, I guess, that gives that, I feel like it encompasses, like, that woman versus that girl.
Yeah,
like, you know,
I've got this.
Calm, that sense of, like, I've got this, it's fine, like, you know, we're all good, you know?
Just, can I give a little of my own thoughts into the trusting yourself, because that was something when I had my counseling a few years ago. That was something that we focused a lot on, because I was very, very hypervigilant and I guess controlled in everything I did, and very safe. And literally the whole point of that whole counseling session, which wasn't what I went in there for, but ended up being what I was trying to achieve, was trusting myself to not necessarily stick to the same road, but to diverge a little bit and know that it'll be okay. And to make a little bit of risky behaviors and learn to trust myself that I'll pick myself up. So that ended up giving me the confidence to quit my job and be a musician, which I would never, ever, 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 ever have done ever in a million years. But the concept of, okay, if it goes tits up and it goes wrong and I lose all my money and I, you know, don't work for a couple of years and I stop my progress in that field of work that I'm in, then I will pick myself up and I'll be okay. It's amazing once you do learn that you can overcome things, I think
it's so true. And I think the thing is that, like, anything that's outside of the status quo is hardly ever talked about, and therefore we think that those things must be impossible to deal with, because otherwise surely they'd be more common and people would be talking about them more. But I think you just don't realize how hard it is to be the first person to talk about those things. How hard it is to, like, you know, not everyone goes around and tells people their biggest traumas they've had to overcome. And so therefore you think that's must be impossible to overcome because no one else has ever overcome it before.
Sure, yeah.
But actually people do every single day.
Yeah, literally. And when you realize it, I had this epiphany. Again, I'm going really, like, I'm just bringing it back to myself now. But I had this epiphany the other day of, like, just looking at my life and sort of and everyone has been through their own shit, right? So this is not woes me, even though I am very woes me today. I'm very, I'm having a pity party. It's great. There's, like, in my head, there's music and it's pumping. It's a very positive
pity party.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to pull myself back.
Upbeat one.
But just thinking of, like, everything I've been through, like losing relatives, like armed robberies in South Africa, because it was pretty volatile there. My mom's health issues with cancer and my own, like, issues with, like, eating disorders and things. Like, it's been a life.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're still going.
Exactly.
We're still going.
And you're still positive.
So we've got to keep it. And I know you obviously don't share if you don't want to share, but I know you've also been through your own shit, as we all have. And you're still going. And you're not even going, you're thriving. Like, you're running marathons that you never thought you could run. From your words, not mine.
No.
I've always,
oh my God, never.
You can do anything. But, like, everything that people go through in their lives, you start out as this blank canvas and you go through a lot of shit and a lot of great stuff too. And then you keep going.
Yeah.
Like, that in itself deserves a fucking medal.
It does. And I think honestly we come out better than we were before. And I think that sometimes you see, like, people say things like that, like, you know, life didn't stop when XYZ happened. But you know, some people will have some, like, negative opinions towards that, like, is that toxic positivity, and, you know, like, things haven't gotten better, but perhaps it's because they haven't gotten better yet.
Yes.
But they will.
Yes,
like,
we've got a long life left.
It's not just when the bad thing is over, it's not like, okay, right, now everything's better. It's like, okay, now I need to heal from that bad thing that happened.
Healing.
Yeah, and then once the healing is over, you then need to deal with a couple of triggers that bring it back up again.
Yeah.
And then once those triggers have been dealt with,
heal
then
again.
Everything. Oh, heal again.
No, I just think you keep healing all throughout life because
better.
Things will keep happening, right?
Exactly. And then you feel like a better version of yourself than you were before. But it's not immediate. It's not as soon as that thing's over, right, I'm better now.
No.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, well,
it's a constant working. It kind of goes back, I think, to that sort of concept of you have this human and this is your project for life. You constantly have to look after them.
Yeah.
You can't let your guard down and think, oh, everything's great now. Like, yes, you should have moments, absolutely, of just having fun and tapping out from all your self-development work you need to do because you just want to live as well. But then come back to it and be like, cool, we've done that. Like I went on my cruise. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to business with music and life and like, you know, balance.
Definitely. And I think that's where like having one main focus at a time is like so important. Like I said, you know, for you, like self-compassion, it's like a really big focus. I think that's like so going to be so valuable for you over the next year. I think for me, like that opposite of that, more discipline is going to be valuable for me this year. And I think like just being able to focus on that, on one overarching theme, I think is the best way to become that woman.
Yeah, because too many things and like you lose yourself. What can I ask you what self-discipline will look like for you in terms of practical things?
Practically, self-discipline looks like committing to my commitments.
Ooh.
So, for example, when it comes to the podcast, right?
Yep.
There's, obviously, we have our filming, and I am like a drill sergeant with Cara. Not
you
only
need to
when
be,
it
though.
comes to, I mean, I have put dates in our shared calendar that I've created.
That I definitely look at all the time.
And they go up to April next year, or maybe even May next year. We have it all in there. I have, you know...
I like that you say we, just to include me in this. I've done nothing. I show up and talk.
But I'm a drill sergeant for it because discipline for me is really useful. And it also means you don't let yourself down.
True.
So like for this, I love doing this. I love doing this with you. I feel like this is something that I've wanted to do. Like, not to get soppy about the podcast now, but this is actually, you know, this is actually episode 20.
Really?
Yeah, this one here.
It's probably my favourite one so far. One of my favourite ones.
We are 20 episodes into this podcast, which is just...
That's bonkers.
So crazy, really, isn't it? Yeah. And for me, this is like one of my biggest goals I've ever had is to like have a podcast.
Really?
So I'm like,
I love that.
If I want this to be something I want to do in my life, then I need to commit to my commitments. And for me, that looks like being a drill sergeant on the calendar, making sure that I'm dedicating time to creating our advertising materials and editing and uploading on time and being disciplined about, you know, every week an episode goes out at this time. There's an audio, there's a visual, you know, I've got my clips, I'm posting them every day. I'll reply to comments. I'll, you know, like I'm looking every now and then at our analytics. Like I am disciplined in the sense of like, I've committed to this and therefore I'm going to see it through.
Yeah,
and like,
good
you know,
advice.
we don't know how long we're going to do this for, but I have no plans of stopping this anytime soon because I've committed to this and therefore we're going to...
Thanks for taking me along with you. I appreciate it because I love it too. I think it's actually like personal therapy, honestly, at this point. Genuinely, every time I see you, I'm topped up a little bit with, okay, cool, I can tackle life again. And then 6 weeks go by and it's just like, oh, and then we come back and it's like it forces me to reflect and to think bigger picture of not just like music, because that's an obsession at this point and it's a little bit unhealthy at times. But it's actually like, okay, cool, but there's a life outside of that. Like,
and who are you?
Right.
You know,
and detaching it.
Basis. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think
20 episodes.
I know, crazy, right?
You.
Oh, you.
For anyone who's just not on board with that. That was our first little symbol. That's like our superhero symbol.
Wait, you do one and I do one.
Yeah. That makes more sense. Because then we're you. Yeah. There's too many U's.
Too many U's.
Too many U's.
Oh, makes no sense.
Cute.
But yes, anyway, and I think in other ways as well, that looks like making sure that I'm meal prepping every week so that I've got food in the fridge and making sure that I you know, like showing up to things that I've committed to showing up to and not spending hours watching Modern Family because I, you know, I'm sad about something or whatever. So like, because that is something that I've done in the past and I just think, you know, it just doesn't add to my life. And so this year it's really the year of only doing really things that add to my life and being really disciplined about that.
Do you ever do the sit with the feeling thing? Because that's another one of my personal ones. And it's like, instead of going into negative behaviors that maybe provide comfort but ultimately probably don't provide comfort for when you're experiencing something difficult, it's just sitting with it and doing something healthy, like talk about it or exercise, go for a walk, I don't know, but I don't know why I just default to the really bad, like the drinking or the binge eating or the like isolating myself from the world, or like that seems to be my it's not a coping mechanism because it doesn't help me cope, but I don't know why we do that, but to default and do only positive things, like discipline.
I like what you're saying there, and I think when it comes to that, I think my method of, sorry, I got something in my eye, so that's why I'm like picking at my eye repeatedly.
Whoa, we have at the same time.
Oh my god, matching. Mine is just realizing that like it's okay if I'm going through a rough time.
Yeah.
But my whole world shouldn't stop because of it. And so that's where that discipline bit.
So self-compassion, discipline, balance.
Yeah.
Treating
like,
yourself with grace, but doing something about it.
Exactly. Like, it's okay if I feel rough. If I have a bad day, that's fine. But that doesn't necessarily give myself, and this is for me, this is not what I'm saying for you, because like I said, we're in two different stages with this, and therefore what I'm saying doesn't necessarily apply to you, but it might apply to someone listening if they've been through self-compassion and are now trying to strap themselves back in again for some you know, exponential growth. Then wee.
Mine is more like wee. Well, there's a few
that's what it looks like if you zoom in. It looks like this, but in general it goes up. It's the general trend, okay? But yeah, just realizing like even if I feel like crap, that doesn't mean that I get to then, you know, absolutely like
abuse yourself,
eat a whole bar of chocolate and not leave the house and, you know, not do anything productive with my day. Perhaps it means instead that I use that day to upload some clothes to Vinted and you know, cut the grass, and not that I do that, Alec does that, but you know, like some smaller tasks that needed to be done, clean the bathroom or whatever, and like that's what my productive day looks like, that's what my disciplined day looks like, rather than sitting at my desk and editing this and looking at that and doing some deep research into XYZ. Perhaps my day looks different, but that doesn't mean it's any less disciplined in the fact that like I am still not going to allow myself to sit and watch 12 hours of One Family,
because you'll inevitably feel worse anyway, and
I've done that as well. I've had those years of behaving like that, and don't get me wrong, like I have good memories of being sat in my bed watching Gilmore Girls for hours on end at uni, you know, and every now and then like you love that feeling of having a lazy Sunday, and my Sundays are generally pretty lazy. I have that call that discipline as well, right? My Sundays are disciplined in the fact that I don't do anything on a Sunday,
but that's balance, you know? That's balance, and it's different when the intention's different. If you're having a lazy Sunday because you want to rest and get ready for the next week, that's self-care. For me, that would be self-care. If I'm having a lazy Sunday because I'm feeling really shit about myself and I'm punishing myself and I'm trying to isolate, that's a very different it's a very different reason behind why I'm engaging in that behavior.
Definitely.
So the intention matters too.
100%. I think that's where the difference between, when I say discipline, I don't mean grind. I don't mean, you know, like toxic hustle culture, like freak myself out, like never give myself a break. I mean, for one thing, for me, discipline in my breaks. I am rubbish taking lunch breaks. I always have been. I'm somebody who always works through lunch repeatedly, and then I burn out around 3 p.m. and then I get confused as to what I'm supposed to do the rest of the day, because it's like too late to start anything, but it's too early to relax, and I always find that gap between like 3 and 7 or 3 and 6 like very stressful. It's like, okay, well, I need to be disciplined in taking a break at 1 o'clock for an hour, and then coming back to my desk at 2 and working for another 3 hours. And it's like
the working from home routine, like I know we'll touch on that in future, but that's a big thing. It's timings. Okay, so to summarize, you are self-discipline era. I am self-compassion era.
Yes.
Bit of both, maybe. That
We've
creep
got an
in.
exciting
2025.
2025.
Please share with us what that woman looks like in 2025. If you have any tips, we do not have all the answers. Tell us, because I will absolutely learn from you as well. I'm always keen to learn.
And it looks different for everybody, but as long as you are just focusing on, you know, how you see yourself and, you know, who you want to be, not who somebody else wants you to be, then you are already going to be that woman in 2025.
See how I'm encouraging audience participation?
I love it.
Thanks.
Give us some.
I forgot to do that for a long time. But please give us your. But yeah. What? I don't know. Okay. Well, the thought drifted.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
Bitches. Can we say? I don't know.
She's starting 2025 by being aggressive.
Happy 2025, bitch. Don't they say it in like, you got this, bitch? Like, isn't it a positive term now? No? Probably not. Happy 2025. No, like, boss bitch. I'm good. Can we just end this? I'm going off on a tangent. Okay.
I've lost the plot.
Goodbye. Come back next week, please.
Please come back next week. Have an amazing new year. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for supporting us for the last 20 episodes. I cannot believe that we have 20 episodes in.
Super cool.
And we're just so happy to be here talking to you guys every week.
Yeah. So. Go forth and be that woman.
Yes, you got this.
You got this.
Bye.
Bitch.